fine, but he's not really mentally challenged. He does have ADD, so it's a little bit difficult dealing with him, but
What are some of the difficulties that you think that they face in society?
he has a hard time in school because he's very hyperactive, and so he has a hard time concentrating, and he can't keep a job, and it's difficult.
Do people look at him differently, you think? Do you think they treat him differently?
Yeah, they have a hard time trusting him and things of that sort because he can't focus and things of that sort. It's a little difficult for him. I guess it's kind of discrimination a little bit because he has a problem, so it's hard.
Yeah, we have a cousin who's blind, and she wasn't born with this. It came to her, and she's worked through adversity and is now like a member of like a Paralympic team, and she just doesn't let her blindness separate her from anybody.
My cousin has cerebral palsy, so I think if in general it helps make the people around them stronger, like family, because you just have to respect everything about them and, respect yourself and help them out, so it makes you a better person, I think.
I have a cousin that's autistic. It's hard getting him to sit down and listen or just to watch him, because you never know what he's going to do next or how to handle certain things, especially if you're babysitting him or something.
My little brother is partially retarded. He has a disability. He has a speech impediment, but we all love him anyway. He has amazing gifts. Even with his disability, he's no different than I would be or my little sister.
John, do you know anyone with special needs?
Oh, what exactly do you mean, by special need?
The term special needs refers to people who have a physical, mental, or emotional need. This could include autism or a learning disability.
Oh, okay. I know quite a few people like that then. A lot of people have special needs.
I know a few people with special needs myself, and I think that all of the people with special needs that I've come into contact with are also especially blessed.
I agree.
I think that because they may have some difficulties because they're not just like everyone else, they may also have a special relationship with God.
It may also pose some difficulties for family members of those who have special needs.
Yes, along with the joys, there must also be some struggles.
That is what we are going to talk about today, living with a sibling with special needs. Hi everyone, I'm Alicia.
And I'm John.
And this is Real Faith TV. At the beginning of our program, you met a few teens on the street who had a sibling, relative, or friend with a special need.
We will talk with them again later in our program, and also with our studio guests.
But first, let's meet our spotlight guest, Valerie. Her brother, Maxime, has autism.
In our first segment, she explains what autism is and how it affects Maxime.
Let's meet her now.
There are many different forms of autism. My brother happens to have a mild case, so it's not as noticeable that he has a disability, but most people with autism have obsessions with certain things. It can be the time, or it can just everything has to be in a specific order, or time. If you're a couple minutes late, sometimes they'll get upset. And some of them are more antisocial and don't really mix with other children. And some severe cases, the kids can't even speak. Since my brother has a mild case, it's not as noticeable. I don't really think I'm living with someone that has a special need, because he does what most other children do. He loves doing puzzles. He watches a lot of TV. He goes biking outside. So basically, I guess maybe because I'm used to it, but I don't really see a difference. And he puts more demand on my mom when it comes to schoolwork, because she usually sits down and she helps him with it to make sure he's doing it correctly and is on task. But we also put a lot of demand on her with sports and getting driven everywhere. So it's different kind of demand than what we have. We've dealt with it by helping him get occupational therapy and a special aide at school that walks around with him in school to make sure he is on task and doing what he's supposed to be and in the right class. But besides that, not really anything else. He does actually participate in Special Olympics, and he plays baseball and soccer and runs track. So I was never really angry about it, because when I first found out he had it, I was really young and didn't really know what it was. But as I got older, I understood it more, and it still didn't really make me angry. Sometimes I get a little upset because he was born that way and he won't have as much of a normal life as other people will, but I've come to respect it and understand it.
Have you ever been embarrassed by something he may have said or done?
Not really, because all my friends know about him having autism, and they're all really understanding about it, and they always interact with him and talk to him, so they make me be really comfortable with it. And all, like my parents' friends and just everyone that knows him all know about him, and they're all really understanding and really patient with him, so that makes me feel a lot better. Probably the biggest challenge is not knowing what problems he's going to face when he gets older, in terms of like going to college and getting a job, and if he's going to get married or not, and like what kind of living he'll be able to do. But for right now, he's doing great in school. He is learning Spanish, and he knows French fluently already. So right now, everything seems okay.
Autism is only one example of a special need. There are many other special needs.
The important thing to remember, though, is that no matter what the need is, all people deserve the same respect and dignity because we are all children of God and equal in His eyes.
Sometimes differences can separate people, but as Christians, we are called to reach out to all people and accept others even if they are different from us.
That is exactly what Jesus did.
Let's meet our studio guests and find out if they have a sibling or know anyone with a special need.
They are Ross, Christina, Nicole, Matt, and Vanessa.
So, do any of you guys have like a sibling with a special need?
Well, my sister is mentally handicapped, and growing up with her, there have been fun times. I mean, it's like a normal brother-sister relationship, and there have been some hard times when it's like, God, I just wish she could be normal so she could understand what I'm trying to tell her or something like that. But I haven't really thought about it as anyways different than she's just my sister, just like I have a friend who has a sister, She's always just been normal in my eyes. I mean, when I was younger, I figured out that I was different, and I was about 4 years old, and I asked my mom if boys were smarter than girls, because I was smarter than my sister. And then, she sat me down and explained, what the deal was. And I don't know, it's just, I've grown up with it all my life, so I really wouldn't know any other way than to just treat her normally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, people who have siblings with special needs, they also tend to have more patience, and patience can be a gift from God. So technically speaking, people who have special needs are gifts from God.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I have 2 cousins that are autistic, and like Valerie was saying, they have severe autism, so they can't even speak, and they speak through computers that speak for them. And just the little time that I've spent with them, it's really taught me a lot of patience to, work with them and stuff like that. And a lot of times they have so much joy, and they really have so much to share with you. And a lot of times people don't get to know them. Mm-hmm. They automatically are like, oh no, I can't deal with them. So, they don't really get to see their gifts,
Mm-hmm.
which is a shame.
They have amazing gifts, though. Children with autism, most of them are brilliant. If you ever read anything about it or saw anything about it, some of the smartest people in our country are autistic. And it's a miracle to see that God would, take away the ability for this person to live normally in our society, but yet give them so many gifts that we can't have. So it all balances out in the end.
It does, yeah.
I mean, I was actually going to make a reference to autistic children right before you said that they're actually brilliant. They do have many gifts that go beyond what some people without autism could do. Because actually, I worked at the Davis Center in Bud Lake this summer with autistic children, and there was one really special kid, and he was very, very gifted in music. And he started writing and composing at 6 years old, and he was writing everything down and could hear it in his head, but he couldn't communicate any other way. But he was composing these pieces and could play them and everything, and he was a really, really, really gifted child.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And people who have not only autism but Down syndrome and all the diseases, they tend to be the happiest people you'll ever know.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yeah, my family, we joke we'll eat dinner. Dinner in our house is a big thing. Everybody come to dinner, all 4 of us eat dinner at the same time together. And after dinner, my sister will go up to her room because she loves listening to music. That's what she lives for. She goes in her room, puts on her CD player, and starts listening to music. And we'll be downstairs eating or not eating because we already finished, but talking. Mm-hmm. And we'll just hear her laugh and like laugh so hard you wouldn't be able to believe it. And like it makes you just think, wow, she can just be so happy even though she doesn't have as much as we have, and we're sitting here worried about whatever we're worried about.
We all belong to the family of God, and each person is created in God's image.
Yet there are variations in individual abilities.
We need to positively recognize these differences and discourage discrimination of special needs children.
We also offer compassion, respect, love, and support to them and their families.
Let's go back to the teens on the street and see if they have any advice on how people with special needs should be treated.
Treat people with kindness, because it's very important, because the world is so wicked and there's so much hate out there. So treat people with kindness and they'll treat you with kindness back.
Everyone's different. You shouldn't treat them differently just because they're not smarter than you or, prettier or whatever. Everyone's different. You never know, that person could be a really cool person and you just don't take the time out to realize it.
And not to judge someone right by the looks.
Yeah, don't judge a book by its cover, basically.
Well, there's so much more that you're going to find underneath, and so many things that are going to make you a better person in the process.
If you judge someone, you have no time to love them.
They're people too. I mean, they have hearts and they have feelings, and just because they have trouble expressing it or they have trouble getting it out doesn't mean that it's not there.
Yeah.
And they want to be loved just like anybody else. So you just gotta treat them normal.
What other advice do you guys have on how to treat a person with special needs?
I would say don't judge a book by its cover. Like, that's exactly what you just said. So many people, I can even admit that sometimes I judge a person by maybe what they look like or whatever, and it's not the right thing to do, but I think it's the way of society, it's just the way some people are. But some people, if you find, they're very intellectual, they are very special in their own way. Each person has their own abilities. They have their own aspirations, they have their own goals, just like of ourselves.
I would say the best advice is not to treat them like any certain way. I would just say treat them as if you would treat, one of your other friends or one of your other peers or whatever. I don't think you should have to, go out of your way to treat someone differently just because they look differently or they speak differently or think differently. I think you should just treat them all the same, equally.
I think that's truly what they want, is just, to live a normal life and to have people treat them like they treat everyone else. And I really liked what Ross said about that, he just looks at her like she's normal because that's what he's like. That's how we should look at everyone, is not like, I think sometimes that when in our attempt to try to help people that we come across the wrong way and they think they're being babied or whatever. A lot of times they just want to hang out and want to have a normal conversation and just want to, be cool with everybody.
You don't want to have pity on someone for, anything.
Right. I think that's something important too. My family, it may be because my sister's older than me, but she's never really been given an easier time of things. Of course we've made certain things easier, but we've always had to do the same chores. She has to clean up her room. She does a better job than I do. She has to do the dishes and I have to do the dishes. So it's never Ross, you have to do everything. We involve her in stuff. We let her know that she's part of the family, and in our eyes, she's normal in that respect.
Mm-hmm. You gotta be nice to her because it's better to be nice than bad, because whatever goes around comes around.
Exactly. So have you guys ever witnessed any discrimination?
There's this kid at school. He walks with kind of a limp. I've known him for a while. Actually, freshman year in high school, all the way up to senior year. Everyone would make fun of him. Sometimes he would actually fall because of his limp. And people would just laugh or whatever. And when he's sitting in class, usually we would be in a science class and he'd be in a lab or something. I'd go up and talk to him. Who cares what other people think? Some people make fun of me because I went and go talk to the kid with the limp leg, but who cares? Everyone's different. That's what makes him unique, you know what I'm saying?
No, talking to him can really make their day because, I have a sister and she was in high school with me when I was in high school. And, I kind of got to know all of the friends that she had in her special class.
Right.
And I would see them in the hallway and I would say hi to them and their faces would just light up like nobody's ever said hi to them before or something. It really, you could tell that they were genuinely excited to see you and to talk to you for however brief, 2 minutes. And is that going to kill you?
And they become more comfortable with saying hi to you the next time when they see you, not so much you saying hi to them. And that makes them feel good with you as yourself.
I have a quick story. In 4th grade, there was a class trip to the mall. Like we went to the mall. I don't know why. All right.
What did you learn?
No, I think we actually wanted to teach us about business or something.
Okay.
So we went to the mall, and we also we shared the class trip with a school for special students and stuff, special learning and everything. And there was this one boy, about my age, maybe a little bit older, and some of my friends were making fun of him. And I was in 4th grade. I didn't really know any better. I was about to jump in, and then I looked in his eyes, and I saw the worst
fear.
You could just see sadness building from his eyes down to his body, and I almost cried. I felt so bad, and I told her to stop and everything, but just the
Good for
complete,
you.
yeah,
That's
the complete,
excellent. I mean, there's not so many people that would do
the
something like
complete
that.
sadness that was in his eyes. I couldn't believe that just words would make someone feel like that. But as soon as I stopped it, you could see his eyes get better, and he looked happy, and he ended up being a pretty cool kid. He was no different than me, just he couldn't communicate as well as I could.
It seems like sometimes people are afraid to go up to people that are different from that in that respect. Like maybe they think they're going to offend them in some way by babying them, as Vanessa said. But what are some other misconceptions that you find common about special needs children?
When it's not a misconception, but it's mean. It's the word retarded is overused. You might go up to someone and say, "Oh, you're so retarded," but if you take the meaning of that, it's actually you have
derogative.
Yeah.
I was always really offended by that as a child because also in the same family with the 2 autistic boys is a mentally retarded older brother, and I was always people always joke around about that, but it's serious, and that always really bothered me when people said that, because again, they say it so lately, "Oh, you're so retarded," and I was like, no, you can't say that, because I have a cousin who actually is, and it's really serious,
I don't think people even realize it. I might say it every once in a while. My friends might say it. I'm sure you guys might say it every once in a while. It just slips, and it's not. You don't mean to be hurting anyone. It's just what people say in culture, and when you look at it, it's really sad. That we have to make fun of someone just as an everyday word. It's just it's one of the most used words in our language, probably.
It really is. I mean, it's
sad.
It's gotten to the point where it doesn't mean anything. I could be hanging out with my friend, and he'll be like, "Oh, Ross, you're so retarded," and then he'll come back to my house and he'll be nice to my sister. It has no correlation to how he treats my sister. It's just a word that's been thrown around in society.
So Ross, having a sister with special needs must have changed you as a person. Can you kind of describe maybe how you act differently towards other people?
I think it's made me look for the goodness inside everybody, maybe more than other people might. I am more patient with her because, the other day I called her on the phone and I wanted her to write down a friend's phone number because that's where I was and I didn't have my cell phone with me. And, I had to say the number 3, 4, 5 times and have her repeat it back to me 3, 4, 5 times until, she got it right. And, it really makes you sit back and wonder, wow, I can't believe that she can't just do that. Because, I could tell any one of you, hey, remember this phone number, and say it once quickly and you have it. I had to, go through each number very slowly, and I have to repeat a lot of things with her. But, it's just something they have to go through with her. And, I'm not upset that I have to do it. It's just, at times it seems like a nuisance. But in the long run, it's really not.
Do you think it's worth it?
Oh, yeah. I love my sister. I couldn't imagine loving her more if she was normal. So I don't think there's any difference between, at this point, I don't know what I'm saying.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, though. If you lived your life with someone with a disability, and, I think you get a stronger connection, actually, because she needs you to survive, and because she needs help, and she needs, your explanation of things and everything, and you actually start to need her to survive because you can feed off her and just look at her raw, emotions and just joy of life, and you can see God in her, and it's amazing.
No, it's true. Sometimes I'll be down and I'll be upset about something will just happen. I'll be like, oh, I'm so angry. And then I'll walk past the room, I'm going downstairs or something, and I'll walk past the room, and she's got her music, and she's dancing and smiling and laughing and singing along, and I'm just how can I be so upset at something so benign when she, can't do anything really, and she's so happy.
Yeah, it's a trade-off like any relationship.
Family members should give the same respect to their siblings with disabilities that they should give to themselves. This also goes for anyone who knows someone with a special need.
Your sibling or friend should always be seen as a person first, someone who just happens to have a disability.
Always recognize their limitations and be flexible. patient and realistic.
Be encouraging and supportive.
Praise them often.
Talk to them even though he or she might not be verbal enough to respond, especially in a group. Try to make them feel like they're part of the group.
Try to teach others how to be more comfortable in the presence of our siblings or friends.
Varying degrees of disabilities are unique to each person, and only family members many times can empower others to get to know those who have disabilities better and to do more.
Next, we will go back to our interview with Valerie. She'll tell us how her friends interact with her brother and how the community and church have reached out to him as well.
I think the best way to deal with it is talking to other people. I know at first I was kind of scared and I guess embarrassed to tell my friends about it because I wasn't sure how they react to it. But after telling them, they understood it more and they actually really liked my brother and they love talking to him. And they always tell me how they think he's so cute and he's so cool. So I guess talking with it will help you feel better. It's helped me be more respectful of other people that have differences and to really reach out to them and understand them. I teach swimming lessons at the pool for people with disabilities, and it's really helped me understand them and respect them. I do babysit for another autistic kid, and since he doesn't talk, it's a little harder to deal with it, but because I have a brother that has autism, I feel like I have a better connection with him than other people do, and I feel like I can help him out, and I feel like I understand him more than maybe other babysitters do. Faith has helped me a lot because I've always thought that God has a plan for everyone, and I think that there's a reason why Maxime has autism. Even though I might not know the reason now, maybe I'll find out later. And even if I never do find out, I think that there's a reason why he was born that way, and I know that God will take care of him. I think that the community and the church has been pretty accepting already. The community provides us with Special Olympics and special teams for kids that have disabilities, so I think that's really nice of them, and the church is really accepting of it too. Like when Maxime had his first communion, he had it with everyone else and they didn't have a problem with it, so they're good. Prayer has helped me a lot. At night I'll pray and ask God to take care of him and make sure that no one laughs at him at school, or that he's happy the way he is, and that he'll be successful when he gets older and will be able to live a normal life.
I think that persons with special needs, like Maxime, give us an insight into the unconditional love of God. As followers of Jesus, we need to see the image of God in all human life.
In all creation and God's gift, and gives glory to God.
How can we make people more aware of other people with disabilities and make them more assertive in addressing their needs?
I think that you don't need to be more aware, you just need to be more open to and accepting of them. A lot of people shy away from they see him and they don't pick on him, which is fine, but they don't go up and hi, how are you?
They turn their head.
Exactly, they just walk the other way, pretend they never saw him. And I think, like I said, if you just spend 30 seconds saying hi, how are you, how was your day? I mean, it could literally make their day and make their week even. I mean, they'll just be happy for such a long time.
Yeah, because think about it. Imagine being almost not made fun of, and not talked, just kind of ignored or brushed aside your whole life. And that's what some of these people have to deal with. And, would it really take that much just to say hello? How you doing? What's your name? That would, like Ross said, it'd just make their day or their week. And they're no different than us. To God, they're no different because they have their, so what's on the inside that counts, and everyone knows that. And their soul is no different than our soul. And their salvations could be no different than our salvation. We're the same people, I'm no different than anybody else. So why should we exclude them? Why should I turn my head from them just because they look differently? That's only temporary.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like to be more open-minded to everything. Don't shun anyone away.
Exactly, and sometimes it takes more effort to go up to that person and to try and include them in your life or accommodate their special need and get to know them. But it's that special effort that makes it all the more worthwhile, because that's the same effort that Jesus would put through if he was faced with a person that had a special need. He would do whatever he could to help them, and he would do whatever he could to make them feel included in part of society and in the family of God.
So guys, how can we enable a person with disabilities to kind of fit into the church's celebration at Mass and everything, and just make them feel part of a community?
Actually, recently, At school, like in like correlation with the church, we did a fundraiser like with the drama club, and we did a variety show to raise money for autistic children. And then afterwards we had like a banquet kind of party dinner thing and whatever. And we had all the kids there and everything. And it was really good because all their parents were there, and they were like younger kids, but like I think they felt like a great sense of community, because I think like when they're in like a big group like that, and they all had each other and stuff, and I don't know, it was really good. It was a really good experience, and I think that they knew that people were doing this for them, that like it really made them feel good, and they were all excited.
There's a girl in my parish who I think she's some kind of handicapped. I'm not sure what she is, but she loves singing in church. She just loves it, and she just stands right up and sings as loud as she can. You know, some people might laugh, but you know what? It shows that she's really into God. Those who live with a special needs family member learn the value of sensitivity, patience, and acceptance.
We are all called to do the same.
Because we cannot give life, we are not supposed to take life or disrespect it in any way.
Human beings are entrusted with life.
A steward is someone who has been commissioned to take care of what belongs to another.
God calls us to be stewards of life.
We are to love for, care for, and protect all life, because life ultimately belongs not to us, but to God.
Do you have a sibling or friend with a special need? Do you have a special need? Write to us and tell us your story.
Contact us through our website.
The address is www.realfaithtv.com.
Or call us at 609-406-7402.
And remember, all are created in the image and likeness of God.
Injustice says that many people do not matter at all.
Justice, the justice that God desires, constantly reminds us that all people matter.
No person is more important, more valuable, or more precious than any other person.
The world needs people who are strong enough and courageous enough to be just.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time
on Real Faith TV. God bless.